So hello everyone, hello Mafians, hello new listeners, hello AJ over in the sound booth. I am your host as usual, Too Clever Mafia, and you are listening to the Too Clever Mafia podcast. And what a week, huh? What a week it's been. From Friday to Friday. We didn't broadcast last Friday because last Friday we had a special episode, right, AJ? We did the debate coverage, and you know, we took some flack because we didn't declare a winner. We kind of thought it was a tie, and it was just a train wreck, and everybody agreed. So obviously, Too Clever Mafia was right on point as we always are on the show, right, AJ? Yeah. But what a week! Yeah, so we did our episode last. Well, we published it on Wednesday, and the day after the debate on Tuesday, and we found out Friday that the president got the COVID. Yeah, he got the COVID, and that kind of put a halt to everything. But I mean, he got it on last Friday, and then he was back in the office working on Tuesday. What does that say? We're going to get into all that today, and we're going to get into, do you feel better about getting the COVID or worse? And what the actual numbers are compared to what, the fear factor is of getting the COVID. And, of course, nobody wants to get the COVID, but we're going to chat all about that today. And don't forget, if you haven't joined up on our social media, we're getting a lot of comments on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, and we're going to try to respond to some of those questions that people had and wanted us to address regarding the debate. But the debate's kind of old news. Yeah. Yeah, it was our first episode that we didn't broadcast. We didn't publish it on Friday. We're going to, this broadcast is back to our normal Friday schedule, but we might have to do one off of the election. We're going to do a special election episode, AJ. Election night coverage. No, he doesn't want to stay up that late. We stayed up awfully late on the last show, and don't know if it really benefited anyone. Just that was a disaster, that debate. But the vice presidential debate happened. Did anybody watch it? Yeah. Okay. Big pieces of plexiglass in between the candidates, because that's going to protect them. That's going to protect them. But that's a whole nother episode. Maybe we'll do an episode on how plexiglass protects you from the COVID, because the stuff is airborne, and unless you're in a box that's airtight, made of plexiglass, and have your own oxygen supply, I don't know how that's going to make it too much of a difference with all the air conditioning circulating when you're inside and all that. But anyway, we'll stay on topic. But check us out over on join our social medias if you will. You want to be part of the discussion? Check us out on www.tooclevermafia.com. And we're going to take a short break, and we're going to dive right into this. The president gets COVID, and we're going to tell you what we've learned, what we know, and kind of give our thoughts on the whole issue. So stick around. We'll be right back after a short break. Welcome back once again. Thank you, AJ, for another great introduction, and welcome once again, my Mafians. And we're going to get right into it. And the president of the U.S. got the COVID, and I don't know. We're looking at the comments that I'm seeing on Twitter and Facebook, and some of the actual comments directed to the show directly, not just the comments trending on Twitter and all that. And it's making people feel a little bit more empowered, and I don't know if that's a good thing or not. They might take more risk when it's not necessary. But yeah, AJ, it seems to be people feel, hey, if the president was, out of work virtually, I mean, if you don't count, he went on the hospital Friday as a precautionary measure. Supposedly he had a cough and a slight fever, and then he was back to work technically he was working on Monday in the hospital, but went back, left the hospital on Monday, back in the White House on Tuesday. There's a lot of questions around this. There's a lot of questions around what we've been told, and is it the truth? I mean, we don't know. We have to go by what we know, but if you look if the president can get it, anybody can. There's a lot of debate. No, I'm not even going to get into the fact of, that people, the man got sick. He's the president of our country. They're blaming him for getting sick. I mean, that's like blaming yourself for getting the flu because you had to go to work and talk to customers if you're in retail or, you can't blame the man for getting sick. Now, that, I'm sure he didn't ask for it. And, it is what it is. You can't blame him for getting sick. But if he can get it, anyone can. And, you know, he doesn't, he's an older gentleman, he's 74, uh, not, within the weight spectrum of what people and doctors would consider a healthy weight. I don't know if he's considered obese or not, but he's not the perfect health, specimen to get the disease. And but there's people that have been in tremendous health and with no history and have gotten sick and unfortunately succumbed to the virus. So we we don't really know, and I think what we're kind of believing what we want to believe. But if he can get back to work in 2 days, he vitamins, aspirin, he's taking experimental drugs, which is another bit of controversy because they're saying, well, a you know, regular American citizens would not be eligible for those drugs. However, you can look at it from a standpoint and say, well, if they're experimental, and it is a drug. I mean, I forget the name of the drug, and I didn't want to get into that on today's episode, but if they're experimental, he's taking a huge risk by taking them to begin with. But that's neither here nor there. We were told in the beginning, AJ, and I checked with AJ to make sure I wasn't going crazy, but and verified some of these. But we were told it could take as much as 14 days before you even show a sniffle or a cough or anything. And if that's true, I don't know if things have changed. Maybe the weather's getting cooler in the United States and the virus is not, or people aren't going out as much because they say the ultraviolet light can kill the virus. But if that's true, then when did the president actually get this virus and how long can you carry it before it shows positive? Because of the debate, which was the presidential debate, which was Tuesday. And we did our special episode on Wednesday, but on Tuesday, they said the president was tested before that debate. And then there was another, Hope Hicks, I believe, on Thursday said she was having symptoms. So on Tuesday, he was fine. Now, my question, and I don't know this, and if you feel free to comment, because I'm not a doctor, but if you were to contract the virus and you take the test, and you're not sick on Tuesday with the test, how long does it take before that will show a positive? Or do they not even know that? Could he have been sick for a week already? Because if you use the math where it's 14 days to show symptoms, he started, I think they said Thursday, had a cough and a fever, a slight fever. And he was fine on Tuesday. You would think, he caught something maybe Tuesday night, maybe Wednesday morning. I don't know what his schedule is like. And then he started feeling the symptoms on Thursday. And that's like a 3-day turnaround, which is generally like a regular cold and flu. They say that stuff, you get it and then you're sick 2-3 days later. So who knows? What information are we getting that's true? What is not true? And what are they making up just to extend things? Or I don't know. I don't know. And it just makes things more confusing when you start actually thinking about it because, on one hand, we want our kids to go back to school. We want to go back to our work and get back to a normal life, a normal routine. But on the other hand, it's maybe the scientists either don't know or there's so much political involvement in what we're being told that it's just they want to keep us confused. They want to keep us dazed and confused. You think that, right, AJ? I mean, yeah, AJ's nodding his head. I see him in the booth over there. And, yeah, you don't usually see you agree with me, AJ, but, it's good to see. It's good to see you using your common sense here. But, yeah, if Tuesday he tested negative, did the debate thing with Biden, got angry, maybe weakened his immune system, what have you. And then he was taken to the hospital. I think it was Friday in the AM, if I'm not mistaken. And then that's 3 days. So maybe it's not. Maybe they're not telling us the truth that 14 days is on the long end, and really it is only 2 or 3 days. And and how long are you contagious for? There's also another question out there, which I honestly haven't been able to find a straight answer. So again, if post us, at Tooclevermafia, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, whatever you want. If you have the answer to this, we'd love to hear it. But are you still capable of catching the COVID once you've had it? If you've had it, then is it like a common cold? Because generally speaking, from what little medical knowledge I have, you get a cold, and supposedly your body builds up an immunity, and you're not going to get that same cold again. But now with the flu vaccine, and there's so many different versions of it, and you take the flu shot every year, and they guess which one's the best version of it for you to take. But you have that risk of getting it again. So, which is it? What is it? What is the right answer? And how do we knock this COVID thing out of the park and just annihilate it so we never see it again? Is it going to be a vaccine like we take? You can get a chickenpox vaccine. I think polio vaccine. I don't know. Medical stuff is not my area of expertise, but there's all these different vaccines you could take. But then you get the flu shot every year. So is this going to be an annual thing? Is it going to be or are we just hoping everybody gets it and builds up an immunity? I don't know. You can't get a straight answer watching the news. No matter what channel you watch, all the news is, this or that, and they're yelling up at this one, complaining at this one, blaming that one. Again, lack of facts, as I've discussed previously on the show, if you know my rant. But, also AJ pulled up, let me see those numbers you got, AJ. So AJ pulled up these numbers. There's roughly about 325 million people in the United States. Now, there's probably a lot more than that with travelers and people that aren't citizens. But the 325 million people, a little over 200,000 have been listed as succumbing to this disease, if you want to call it, the COVID. A lot of those folks, from what I got, 40% of those folks were people from nursing homes. So they're definitely elder folks. And then there's one-off people with different health issues that had certain predisposed conditions to this disease. But AJ did the math on this, and he gave me a figure, and it was out of the 325 million in the U.S., the death toll was 0.062%, as of the time we're doing this show. So of all of the people in the country, less than 0.1% of the people have succumbed to this. Now, the flu vaccine, which is supposed to help and prevent you, in some cases, of getting the flu, it also helps prevent the severity of the symptoms, so they say. But because this is where it gets tricky, because the numbers run, the flu season runs from like September through spring sometime, I don't know. But it runs from end of one year to the beginning of the next. So it's kind of fishy numbers. But if you counted, the end from September to December, and then 1 year total, September to December, you probably get a more accurate count. But anyway, the numbers that they give you, the CDC gives you, about 490,000 people are, in the U.S. from, I guess this would be the 2018-2019 flu season. 490,000 people were hospitalized for the flu. Okay. So that's half the amount of the deaths for well, I'm sorry, double the amount of deaths, but 490 were hospitalized. Now, of those, because of our treatments and we've been dealing with the flu for so long, you know, only 34,200 people have died from the flu. And I say only, but that's a huge, one person dying is too many. But 35,000. So percentage wise, it's probably, what is that, 15 or so percent compared to, so COVID is about, it hasn't really been a year yet, but so it's going to be around 10%, maybe a little less in comparison. So the flu is a lot more deadly. However, there's also, I'm sorry, the COVID is a lot more deadly, but the, you have to take, there's so many factors involved. You take into account the, the lack of knowledge of the disease, and it's new, and the treatments, and they're kind of trial and error, literally are trial and error situations when it comes to what will help it and what doesn't help it. I read something somewhere that they said Pepsid AC, that was a heartburn medication, can fight it. And the president, they said, was on aspirin, and zinc and vitamin D and a multivitamin and all this other thing. So we don't necessarily know, I think, the definitive reasons of what, or how to treat it. We can know what maybe is, we're starting to learn what relieves it. We don't necessarily know what prevents it, because, like I said, healthy people have succumbed to the virus, and where other people, that generally you would, it just, they passed it through like it was a normal cold. So I don't know. So I didn't want to get into all the specifics and the numbers, because no matter, depends on where you get them from. And I went to the CDC, but there's stories about them not being up to date and accurate and all that stuff. And if you don't have all the numbers and all the statistics, it's hard to give an accurate picture of what's going on anyway. So we know it's bad, but looking at what happened with the president, it's kind of like, well, is this like the flu? Is this a little bit, it's the flu 2.0, but is it going to take out 325 million of us in the United States? Probably not. A good portion of us will be able to beat, and some, they say, are asymptomatic, which means nobody will even have a one sniffle, and there's others that will have a little bit of a sniffle, and then there's some that it definitely puts fear into somebody that's older, or somebody that's has some existing conditions. I relate, but do you want to live your life in fear, or do you want to live your life? We can hide in a cave our whole life. Is there an end in sight? So, and then we can go down the road of all the vaccines and how there's anti-vaxxers and people don't want to get that stuff. That's, in my opinion, that's crazy. That's just crazy talk. There's science, and then there's science, and if things work, great. But all medicine, there's risks and there's side effects, and not everybody has those same side effects. So it's the same with this disease. Not everybody is going to have the same problems, and some people are going to have it pretty bad. But if science can figure this out, and we're trying to figure this out in under a year, folks. We live in extraordinary times, and there's some unbelievably smart people out there, and doctors and scientists, and I'm confident that they will figure it out. Once we have to stop, once they make us stop sifting through all of this nonsense and these stories and fake news that becomes real news and all that kind of stuff. But I was talking about they say the president all the time is unhealthy. He eats McDonald's and pizza and all that stuff. But he kicked it. I don't know. If there's long-lasting effects and all that stuff, but he beat it in a couple of days like it was a cold. So it almost makes you kind of think, hey, do you want to risk it and kind of get this thing and just go out and get it over with, so you don't have to worry about it? And if it's going to be, it's going to be. But I don't know. I don't know if that's a smart thing to do. I don't know if they're closing schools again, I hear, over in New York City. I don't live far from New York City, but they're closing down the schools in New York City, and then there's other states that are opening everything up. Florida's opening, everything's opened up. There's some states that haven't even closed everything down. So, what do you do? What do you do? Well, United States too. It's not, we freely travel across borders, and I saw a sign. We record this show over in New Jersey, and you saw a sign on the main highway, and it said, if you're coming from any one of these states, and it listed like 30 states abbreviations. I have trouble mailing a letter out of state. I'm going to read a sign at 50, 60 miles an hour that has all the state abbreviations. But it said if you're coming from one of the, dial 511 or whatever it was. I think it was 511. And let us know. We'll let you know if you got a quarantine for 14 days. And then, that's a whole nother thing. Do you quarantine for 14 days, 10 days? If the president was fine on Tuesday. So what do you go by? A lot of misinformation, back and forth, back and forth. Does AJ, does this make you more scared or less scared that the president contracted this the COVID, but on the flip side of it, was out of the hospital in a couple of days? No, you're done. See, that's the same with me. I'm undecided because I think it's like, okay, it may not be as bad for most people, but then I'm thinking, well, he does have the top of the line medical care, and but I don't know. It's it's very tough to make a judgment call if it's not like I'm going to go out and throw my mask off and get real close and up close and personal to all the people. But I was thinking, AJ, we go out a lot to these restaurants of late. It got a little chillier here in the Northeast of the United States, and you got these waiters and waitresses having their masks on and helping people and not changing their masks. And a lot of them aren't even wearing gloves. And, how are they not getting sick? They're helping person after person after person, and they're picking up my cup. And it was weird. I went to, had to pick up my pills over at the pharmacy. And I go to pick up my pills, and the pharmacist, she's very nice lady. And she says, too clever. You used to have a coupon for this medication, but the coupon expired. It was only good for 1 year, but you can go on your phone and get a new coupon and give it to us, and you can save. And the medicine was, I don't know, it was like a $90 or something it was going to cost me for like a 3-month supply, which I was okay with because it was usually a very expensive medication, but and sometimes they make a mistake, so I don't say anything. I just take it for whatever price they give it to me. It seems to be different also every time. But anyway, so okay. And so she talked me into going on the website on my phone. Now, websites on my phone are not for me. I'll use an app. I'm good with apps. When you start surfing me on the World Wide Web on a phone, I can't see it to begin with. So that's over the line for me. So anyway, I'm looking, and the pharmacist says, I'll take your phone, Clever. Let me try. Now, the pharmacist is behind like 15 layers of plexiglass, like a mouse maze, So I got to kind of hand, I was a little apprehensive. I'm like, you really are comfortable with taking my phone? Now, my phone was clean. There's nothing wrong with it. But from her perspective, I said, I'm a patient at the pharmacy, and, you just want to touch my phone, which is probably the dirtiest thing any one of us has on us, Although I do put Miss Mafia every night makes me put my phone in one of those ultraviolet light boxes. So my phone actually probably is pretty clean. But anyway, so she takes my phone, and then she starts scrolling because I pulled up the website, right? And she starts scrolling through, and then we go back and forth. And then it turns out that she had checked with another pharmacist or another, I guess, the assistant or whoever was there, and said, oh, no, Mr. Clever, they make a generic for this now, so they don't have a coupon. And I'm like, okay, well, just ring me up for the $90. I'll figure it out next time. Just the fact that I had to work something on my phone, I didn't want to be noticed by all my, the paparazzi and with my celebrityism. Is that a word? Is that even a word, AJ? Celebrityism? My celebrity. We'll just say my celebrity. How's that? And with my celebrity, I didn't want to draw too much attention to myself. And and she gave me the phone back. But I was, that was my first thought, was like, you want to touch my phone, and really, I wouldn't. I don't even want to like touch a button. I've got the little keychain fobber thing that you press buttons or you open up doors with, and I don't want to touch anything. I let Miss Mafia push the shopping cart when we go to get food at the food store. But yeah, so yeah, we're getting a little bit away from what we. So you're kind of indifferent about whether it makes you more scared or less scared. This whole situation, AJ. Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm over it. I'll tell you that much. I'm over this whole COVID nonsense. I'm quite frankly, I'm bored of it. I'm bored of it at this point. I don't want it. I don't want it. Like, I don't want to catch the flu. I don't want a cold, but I don't want it. But, not wanting it is not going to stop me from getting it. Just, even being safe, not necessarily, in my eyes, is going to stop me from getting it. And, I see people out there wearing masks, but then I think to myself, this is the kind of stuff that goes through my head, right, AJ? But you see people with the masks and their hands are all over their masks, like adjusting them and pulling them and tugging them and touch. But now if you've got, I wonder, and I don't know for sure or not, but if I have, touched something and I have I got the COVID on my hand and I'm touching my mask and then I'm breathing it in, what are the odds that I'm going to get sick with that? And then the masks, I mean, there's all different kinds. I got really good masks from my Mrs. Mafia, my grandkids and myself and all of that. And it's got like this 3-4 layer masks. I found them on the Amazon, and they're made in the USA. And then you put these filters in them as well, like these little carbon filters. And I don't know, other than wearing a full-fledged respirator, I don't know how much I could be safer. I don't do the rubber gloves though, because I feel like the rubber gloves don't necessarily help. Because I guess if I had a cut on my hand, I don't know if it can be transferred that way. But the rubber gloves, I'm still touching everything. And I know people wear the rubber gloves, but I just use the hand sanitizer after. We'll go to the food store, I'll touch the card or whatever, and I'll usually use it a couple of times while I'm in the store. And then when we check out, I'll try to bag the stuff. And after I finish bagging, I'll wash my hands. And then when I get to the car, I'll use more of it. I use a lot of it. I try not to use too much when I'm home. I'll use regular soap and water because my hands, your hands dry out from this stuff. But I'm done with it. It's getting old. We're going into the winter. We're all going to be stuck in the house anyway. I guess most of the winter outdoor activities, I don't know. And somebody said today, January things will be back to normal. I saw, and I said, I don't know how you know that. It was an article I was reading, and they said, by January everything will be, we'll get through the holidays. But the holidays make me nervous. People going Thanksgiving, and you got big gatherings of big family, and if they do that, I mean, that seems to be where a lot of this is spreading, with big groups and parties as well, and you get one sick person. I don't know, AJ, but what I do know is we need you to subscribe. So like and subscribe our podcast, whether you're listening on Apple, Google Podcast, Breaker, Radio Public, Spotify, anywhere. We need you to subscribe, folks. Keep doing what you're doing. Our channel is continuously growing, and we love making this content for you. So I'm not going to give you a whole lot of call to actions. Just subscribe to whatever podcast, wherever you're listening to us, subscribe. And we're going to take a short break and catch my breath, get a little drink here. No, it's not a drink of alcohol, although who knows? Does it really matter anymore? So, no. No, don't you? I better not catch you drinking over there, AJ. But yeah, okay. I got my eye on you. But yeah, we'll be right back after this short break. Stick around. Welcome back. We're gonna wrap up our President's Got the COVID episode today, and if you got any comments, we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear your thoughts and what you might perceive to be the truth. With media the way it is today, it's very hard to get a straight story from anyone. I try to ask around, and to be honest, a few people I've asked, and I said, hey, do you actually know anybody that's gotten the COVID? And if very, it's usually, well, my uncle's cousin's brother, but they're fine, or they had it, they tested positive. But I guess thankfully, no one really close to me has gotten it. But there's not many people that have succumbed to it that I've come across. Now, obviously, that's just my circle, and that's not, your perception may, or your situation may be different, but definitely let us know. Let us know if anybody out there has gotten it and they've recovered. We love to we love to hear from you. Maybe even have you come in as a guest on our show because we we want to beat this thing, all of us. And if it's just a matter of, you know, juicing up on vitamin D, people have their own remedies, then let's all go out and buy some vitamin D, get some more sun if we can, while we can. Who knows? I don't know. I, speaking of people, I had to have my chimney done, my chimney sweep, right? I get it done every couple of years, and they come and they clean out the vents and all that stuff. And I started talking to the person. He does it every year, and he said he came in my home, and I was wearing my mask, and they were wearing he was wearing his mask, and I showed him where all the stuff was, and he did the dryer vents and all that as well, and he said to me, listen, Clever, you don't have to wear your mask. I just wear it because I have an older parent that lives with me, and I just don't want to take any chances. And you know, I I appreciated that he had mentioned that, and I also said, well, if he's concerned, why not get that double layer of protection where I'm wearing a mask and he's wearing a mask? But then at that, it wasn't necessarily the point that um, he was wearing a mask or not. But at that moment, for some reason, it hit me, and I said, I'm looking at the gentleman. And I said, I'm thinking to myself, if can we catch this through our eyes? Our eyes. I know there's face shields and everything, but our eyes are always open and exposed. And if a droplet, was floating through the air and got into our eyes, is that a way we can catch the COVID? You know, I don't know why. I guess the chimney sweep. I guess I was thinking, he was kind of clearing the vents and making sure there wasn't going to be a fire and keeping all, my appliances safe. But I was thinking, can you get it through your eyes? Is that something that can happen, AJ? Did you read anything on that? No, no. Yeah, I didn't think so. Do you read anything, AJ? Really? Yeah, yeah. You read your paycheck, right? Yeah. So I should put some tips on your paycheck. Some Too Clever Mafia-isms on your paycheck. Maybe I'll read them. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking with you. Yeah, AJ. Yeah, I gotta be careful, AJ. I'll start crying. Gotta be careful about that. Don't want to get myself in trouble. But anyway, so if you hear anything, anything, drop us a line, tooclevermafia.com. You can email us at tooclevermafia@gmail.com. Hit us up on all the social medias. We're everywhere, folks, at Tooclevermafia. That's TOO Clever Mafia. And once again, I am your host, Too Clever Mafia, and this is the Too Clever Mafia podcast. And we'll be back next Friday. So that is all I have to say about that. Stay safe. I'll talk to everyone next week. Bye-bye for now.